Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40k universe. I am your host Gershwan, and today we're going to be talking about 40 facts about the Death Korps of Krieg. The Death Korps of Krieg is the name given to all the Imperial Guard regiments that originate from the devastated, post-nuclear death world of Krieg in the Segmentum Tempestus. They are a siege specialist regiment. Krieg was the site of a rebellion against the Imperium of Man over 1,500 years ago in the 40th millennium, and was bombarded with nuclear weapons, followed by 500 years of grinding warfare to purge the rebels. Colonel Jurton, commander of the 83rd Krieg Imperial Guard Regiment, gathered to him all those still loyal to the Imperium, and struck back against the rebellion, choosing to unleash the horror of atomic bombardment upon all those that forsake the Emperor. Krieg was reduced to a scorched, radioactive husk of a world, composed of dust and mud, whose surviving people were forced to retreat underground in hive cities in order to survive the toxic planetary environment above. Death Korps of Krieg seeks to repent for their former treachery against the Imperium by displaying a disturbing disregard for their own lives in combat. Death Corps troops excel at war of attrition and defensive combat in particular. Trained amongst the radioactive ruins of long-dead cities, equipped for the most hostile environments, and raised on sermons of self-sacrifice, the Krieg regiments have commonly been deployed, often on their own request, to some of the deadliest war zones, from the toxic ash wastelands that surround many hive cities to brutal wars of attrition and year-long sieges. The prevailing attitude amongst the Krieg is that they are little more than weapons for the Emperor's will, faceless and infinitely replaceable behind their anonymous rebreather masks, and they hold self-sacrifice as the highest of ideals. Commissars assigned to Krieg regiments are not required to maintain order and zeal, as it is normally the case, but rather to ease interaction between Krieg and the non-Krieg regiments, and to curb the self-sacrificing tendencies of their charges. Given the depleted population of Krieg, it is a wonder that so many guardsmen can be produced. Vicious rumors continue to circle around the world's regiments of unnatural methods used to bolster birth and recruitment rates, producing children artificially to ensure that there are always soldiers to give their lives for the Emperor. It is also believed that the average age of a Krieg infantryman is considerably low. Some officials even insinuate that the bulk of these men hide their juvenile traits behind their rebreather masks, and that their soldiers haven't even reached maturity. Much of the early history of what was once the hive world of Krieg in the Segmentum Tempestus is shrouded in rumor, allegory, and dark myth. This once thriving hive world was a trading and manufacturing center that was populated by billions. The planet was bloated with wealth and corrupted with greed. The former rulers of this world, the Council of Autocrats, was rife with petty vendettas and vice. This ruling oligarchy became increasingly narrow-minded and corrupted over time. Their paranoia over an outside threat that could shatter their dictatorships caused them to sink vast resources into strengthening the defenses of their hive cities, building private armies and further surrounding their world with an outward-facing ring of steel. The autocrats grew to resent the influence of the imperial administratum on their world, and in particular the heavy taxes levied on them by the Departamento Munitorium. Taking resources they protested were vital to their own defense. The citizens of Krieg were sadly ignorant of these slowly spiraling events and the terrible ruin that misrule of their leaders was about to bring down upon them. On the 433rd year of the 40th millennium, the chairman of the Council of Autocrats and the de facto planetary governor, a man so hated that his name was purged from all the imperial records, declared planetary-wide martial law, and that Krieg was now independent of the Imperium of Man. The High Autocrat further renounced the Emperor of Mankind as his divine master and political overlord. Krieg was immediately devoured by civil war, which erupted suddenly and violently between the rebels who supported the High Autocrat and those citizens of Krieg who remained firm Imperial loyalists. After the rebels' initial attack, much of Krieg quickly fell to the heretics, except for Hive-world Ferograd, which remained under loyalist control under the command of the now infamous Colonel Jurten. With the veteran colonel at his helm, Ferograd rapidly became the rallying point for the remaining loyalist factions, but the situation for the loyalists was dire. The rebel forces numbered in the millions, and Ferograd was soon cut off and besieged. Colonel Jurten had been told by the Segmentum command that an Imperial fleet necessary to invade Krieg would not be coming. The planet's defenses were much too strong. His orders were to resist with all means at his disposal, to engage the enemy, to punish their treachery, and emerge victorious, whatever the cost. So faced with the horrific odds, Colonel Jurten came to the fateful decision that Krieg would either belong to the Emperor of Mankind or to no one at all. Within a secret Adeptus Mechanicus storage facility located deep below High Ferograd, Colonel Jurten, with his loyalist Adeptus Mechanicus ally, Archimos Grill, moved to unlock the facility and to unleash the forbidden and ancient weapons within. On the day of the feast of the Emperor's Ascension, Jurten unleashed his long-planned counterattack. The traitors watched as Jurten's ballistic missiles arced high into the planet's stratosphere before detonating in a bloom of blinding light and unleashing tons of lethal isotopes which blanketed the entire world in a deadly fallout. For days, Krieg was engulfed in a sea of nuclear fire. Krieg's already tainted and marginal ecosystem collapsed, and as a result, untold billions died due to the raging fires blocking out the sun and the nuclear winter that followed. Jurten's plan would come to be known as the Purging. Krieg might have been transformed into a blasted wasteland, but the Purging had evened up the odds. The Loyalists had been well prepared for the attack, while the traitors suffered terribly. The survivors from Jurten's nuclear purge were forced to exist in the underground bunkers or deep in the radioactive chem wastes of the Hive world, as their descendants do to this day. To the Imperial authorities, Krieg was a prize no longer worth saving, its fate a red mark in the ledgers of the Administratum. Krieg became a man-made death world, trapped in a frenzying grip of radioactive nuclear winter. The bloody war of attrition continued to rage between the surviving traitors and the loyalist troops, across a planet where every inch of ground was eventually littered with trenches, rusting razor wire, and shell craters, in a deep landscape where drifting fallout ash shrouded and numberless bones of unburied dead existed. Jurten finally perished. How? It is not recorded, but the descendants of those that followed him live on, and became as fearless as they were callous. War would become all that they ever knew, raced to fight from the cradle to the grave. The warriors that lived on, great-coated and vapor-masked, through the wastelands and the blasted cities of Krieg would become known as the Death Corps, existing only to endure the hellish planetary surface in order to do their duty and to kill in the Emperor's name. The Loyalists slowly retook their blasted world in the name of the Emperor, trench by trench and tunnel by tunnel, with bayonets, brutality, and when needed, atomic fire. After more than 500 standard years of the most nightmarish warfare, and an incalculable price paid in human life and suffering, Krieg belonged to the Death Corps. Krieg was finally returned fully to the Imperial fold in the 949th year of the 40th millennium. Though Krieg was returned to Imperial rule with little fanfare or regard, the Departamento Minitorum took note. Krieg was in debt, so a new tax was placed on the planet, but this time they asked for men to fill the Imperial Guard. The Imperium Adept were surprised when the Krieg authorities offered them not 1, but 20 regiments for immediate deployment, all formed, trained, and equipped and each commander requested the most hazardous Imperial war zone available. During 5 centuries of warfare, the people of Krieg had not sat idle, and beneath the blasted exterior of their world, entire subterranean cities had been found. Tens of thousands of miles of bunkers and passageways dug, and a vast underground of industries and manufactorums geared specially to the production of arms, equipment, but most of all, to the production of soldiers. In war zones that mirrored the horrific state of their homeworld, the Death Corps regiments proved superior to other Imperial Guard regiments. On worlds that were radioactive wastes, toxic zones, and polluted ash worlds, Imperial Guard generals quickly capitalized on deploying the Death Corps. By the direct orders of the High Lords of Terra, nothing was to be allowed to interfere with Krieg's sole purpose of soldier production. This meant almost all reproductive methods practiced were to be tolerated on the planet. One of these was a eugenic policy designed to weed out mutations caused by Krieg's damaged radioactive biosphere. Another practice was the use of vital wombs. Use of this technology is largely unknown outside the Adeptus biologists, and is seen as dangerous by many Adeptus Mechanicus Magos biologists. The use and number of Death Corps regiments is on the rise, as are the resources being devoted to their creation by the Departamental Minitorum. As it stands today, Krieg is a true war world. It has no industry or agriculture to offer to the Emperor, only its people, giving up its descendants to fight in the Imperial Guard. And those were 40 facts about the Death Corps of Krieg. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope your painting is going well. Just out of curiosity, what are you guys painting? Comment down below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel to get part 2, where we learn more about actual battles where these guys are deployed. It gets really interesting. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and sending this out to your friends who like 40k. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.